Welcome back to Duda Dojo, your go-to source for the latest Duda news, platform how-tos, and product updates. I'm Jessica, and today we'll explore simple yet effective ways to ensure your websites are inclusive and easy to navigate for all users, regardless of ability. So let's jump right in. Matt, Christiana, we have a very interesting and also very important topic to discuss today, and that is web accessibility. And so we obviously need to educate our viewers on why that's important and what it even is. Chris, let's look at it from a designer's perspective initially. When you are designing, what do you consider when you are looking at web accessibility, which is really just making a website more easy to read and interact with for people who may have different types of abilities? What do you consider when you're putting that design together?
So when I'm first designing a website, I'm always considering the color contrast, the readability and legibility of the fonts I chose, responsive design, and I'm also thinking about the aesthetic versus accessibility and how they can work together and how they clash sometimes. And sometimes it's a difficult process, but we have to do it because it is an important topic.
Yeah. And I know that recently you were working on a project, you were sharing that you had utilized the new Duda tool.
Yes.
So they released a tool called the Color Checker. And so what was that experience like?
Yeah. So for a new website I'm designing, I chose a certain color I was really into. And so, but even I was struggling to see it. And with the new Duda feature, it was obvious that color was not going to work out. Yeah. So once I changed that color, it tells you that this will help readability for all users. And while it is upsetting that I had to give up a certain aesthetic, it is important to have that accessibility and make sure all information that you're presenting to users can be read. Yeah.
So it sounds like sometimes you are fighting your own urge for what you think's attractive over knowing that we need to do.
Not just sometimes.
All the time. Yes, all the time.
And it's not even just related to accessibility. Designers have that thing where they're like, this definitely should be this way. We're like, yeah, but
maybe not.
It's a hard battle.
It's the artist, the challenge. I actually want to check out real quick the tool that Duda integrated. So we're going to go to my screen here. And I, of course, I'm going to pick on the RivalMind website. And so to give everyone just a taste or a flavor of how this tool works. So realistically, let's say you're putting your page together and you've determined what font colors you'd like to work with. So I'm going to pick on this H2 heading. And you can see we have the lighter blue versus this isn't black. This is actually a dark blue. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight this font here. And then I'm going to select the color choice here as if maybe I'm going to change it. And then what I can see right here is it is this new color checker, color contrast ratio. It's giving you a score. And this score is actually Duda integrated with the understanding of what the WCAG was looking for, which we'll get into more later. And you can see right there that color combination that we have with the white background and the contrast of the dark blue. We have gotten, I'm going to call it an A+ on this font and color choice. However, if you look at the lighter blue, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight that and check this one as well. You can see that we're a little lower in the score there. And so something that RivalMind has done has implemented or integrated with a tool on its website. And Matt, I'd love to talk to you about that just as a whole. Where does RivalMind stand when it comes to web accessibility? And what are we considering as how we act on that in the current time?
Yeah, it's a really interesting conversation because it's not that far off from that joke that we were just sharing with Christiana. Like we have amazing designers that do a lot of, they really understand design principle and hierarchy and how your colors and how your fonts interact with each other. So they do such a great job with the layouts. We're always balancing that unbelievable aesthetic with accessibility. So these are things, obviously that lighter blue was absolutely a design choice. We want, you know, that number one rated to stand out.
Right.
So when you're trying to hold that balance, one of the things that we do just rudimentarily now is we have a third-party tool that allows the user to make adjustments on the website that they're on to be able to suit their needs best.
Yeah.
That's really kind of where we're at right now. For sure, we're aware of what the WCAG guidelines are, but
they're just guidelines.
But they're guidelines.
Right.
And that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like it still is a little bit of the Wild West. I've been at this for a while. I've worked at RivalMind for a while, and we haven't yet come across, you know, a lawsuit that's really been, you know, brought to any of our clients or anything like that. But there is no like hard and fast, you know, this is what you got to follow and this is the law, which is what makes it kind of difficult.
Yeah.
So just by using some of these tools, it makes it so that you are at least taking that first step forward for people that have different types of needs, that they can make the adjustments. It helps us so that we can continue to have some dynamo aesthetics that we're building websites with, but makes it so that we're not limiting anybody from being able to use our website.
Yeah, I know that we've mentioned, like, you had examples of, you know, websites where they really leaned into the accessibility, and the result was an unattractive website.
less than excellent, you know, design.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult conversation because even those specific examples, did they accommodate for everybody's particular needs?
Yeah.
Like that's hard to describe.
Sure.
Like some people may have, you know, things shifting and that's what the problem is for them. Other people might be colorblind or other people might be completely blind. So being able to accommodate for every one of those is really a difficult task just in the design itself.
Agreed.
I think that's why they're guidelines. Yeah. Here are things that we should definitely be considering as we're designing. Yeah. And that's what we do. And then beyond that, anybody that has a really specific need can use an app or a tool that's right on the website to serve them.
Yeah, I love it. And I know the tool we use in particular, while there are options out there, it will, you know, we were talking about earlier, it will slow down animations. It will completely stop movement. One of the things that I found most fascinating, which it isn't a problem that RivalMind runs into, but other people might run into, is that if you don't have alt text on your images, this tool will actually identify with its AI what the image is, and it will give it its own alt text to anyone that's using a reader there. You know, it doesn't embed it in your website, but it's able to identify for that reader, someone with different abilities, who's actually using this tool to its full advantage.
Yeah.
So, Chris, talk to me about, like, what are tips that you would advise designers, and where outside of RivalMind have you explored, like, the understanding of web accessibility?
So I went to school for design. So I've been trained in the design principles. So accessibility is a part of my natural process of designing for websites or any form of graphic design, to be honest.
Sure.
But there are, if you lack that knowledge, there are third-party resources out there online that can help you read about those design principles. And like Matt mentioned, hierarchy, the best fonts to help with readability and legibility. And what's really important is make sure what needs to be read or what needs to be seen is visible and is not obscured by anything. Learning color theory will help you a lot too, to make sure colors aren't like combating each other. It's really important to make sure that everything is accessible and visible for all users, to be honest.
I love that. Yeah. And then just from a business perspective, I recently was reading that about 29% of web users have some type of different ability. And so if you look at that, again, from a business perspective, there's a part of the market that you're missing out on if your website isn't accessible. Yeah. Like, what would you advise any of our clients that, you know, whether they're asking for this tool or what we do about it, how would you advise them or guide them through, like, the value of that from a business perspective?
Yeah, I think you're hitting it right on the head. Like if it's 30% of the available market just isn't served by your website. Well, you're cutting that right off the top. I think there's a lot of considerations relative to who is this business and is it a one-man show? Like some smaller businesses built their own website and things like that. So utilizing a tool to make it so that you're covered in this area will open up that 30% of the market.
Yep.
We at RivalMind very naturally do things for SEO like alt text and things like that. Also, there's always the consideration, even as we're building pages for SEO and things like that, like it's just ingrained into who RivalMind is as we're producing assets. But like, I think from a business standpoint, what you're looking to do is serve all of the available market.
Yeah.
There is the other side of the pendulum that is, you also have to protect yourself. It's hard to tell, is it an old wives' tale that, some lawyer is going to send you a letter and say, hey, we're gonna press charges because of your website.
Right.
Like I said, I haven't seen that yet in real life, but I've heard of the story. So being proactive in saying like, we're not trying to hide our website or make our website difficult for anybody, but how is it that we can accommodate for the most people?
Yeah.
And the easiest answer is putting one of those tools on your website.
Yeah. Would you say that, kind of in closing here, what is RivalMind stance on the future of web accessibility?
Yeah, there's a lot that happens in the technology marketplace.
Sure.
So we're learning right along with everybody else. So there's a lot that's coming. We've had conversations about like, what's it going to be like in 5 years, 10 years? Is SEO dead? Chat GPT, like, is it going to be holograms in 10 years? Like, we don't know yet. The things that we see today are far different than what we were dealing with even 5 years ago. But I think as far as, as we're moving into the future, RivalMind's core is to be on the cutting edge of what's happening.
I love that.
I mean, it's one of the things, that I love about Duda is they are consistently putting out new features on their platform. And I can turn around and take that and, show it to our clients. They're like, hey, check out this other new thing that just got introduced to the platform. So I think just staying in that rhythm is where we're going to be.
I mean, that's fantastic. This is obviously was an important conversation. And I love that both of you, as representatives of RivalMind, just have that on the forefront and are, going to stay attuned with what's happening, and we'll innovate as we need to.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
Hey, Duda Dojoers, did you love that video? Check out this one or this one.